does it do, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of Scotty Says. I am your host. And I hate to have to come on here and tell you I knew it and say I told you so. But I knew it and I told you so. Go back, check the previous videos. Go back to week 5 of this NFL season when the Rams at 4-1, and I cried out. I warned you, the people, that lapses in judgment on behalf of the play caller and extremely erratic quarterback play was going to doom the Rams against quality opponents. Go back and check the tape now. I warned you. And what did I tell you? And what do you see? Lapses in judgment on play calls and haunted quarterback play against quality opponents is too difficult to overcome. And so come postseason time, success would be hard to achieve for the LA Rams. I warned you. And now you see it playing out. So I'm not going to put all of the blame for what happened at the Haunted Palace in Inglewood last night on the Poltergeist. Because, as I've said before, and again, go back and check, Sean McGenius, the boy wonder, must take final responsibility because only he has the power to restrain the poltergeist by increasing the number of carries in the run game and reducing thereby the number of pass attempts. And that is how you curtail the haunting, you see. Rams repeatedly suffer from self-inflicted wounds. Well, you can survive those against Jacksonville or the New York Giants, but they're not in the playoffs. You can even escape by the skin of your teeth against the Baltimore Ravens, but they didn't make the playoffs this year either. But thanks to your inability to deal with your Papa Shanahan, the San Francisco 49ers are in the playoffs. And if by some quirk of fate they should end up having to face you, I don't know anyone who could make a strong or compelling case as to why they should not be favored. Wouldn't matter where they played. Because Kyle Shanahan has you, Mr. McWonder, in his little pocket. Matty from the D, and ultimately, Sean the Boy Wonder himself, McGenius, have to bear the lion's share of the responsibility for the Rams' failures in big games against quality opponents. But there's another culprit, ladies and gentlemen, and I tell you what, it is that defense. That defense last year, the Rams had the number 1 ranked defensive unit statistically last season. Numero uno. This season, they're ranked 15th. Middle of the pack, mediocre, and it shows. Now, I'm not trying to draw a correlation between the departure of Brandon Staley to the Chargers and the decline of the LA Rams defense. When I see the decisions that Brandon Staley is making as head coach of the Chargers, I'm almost glad he's gone, because having someone who thinks like that around would make me nervous. Knowing that he thinks that way, just want to do something reckless all the time. The Chargers will be watching the playoffs from the couch, just like me. Thank you, Coach Staley. So no, but that unit has fallen off. And so this year, repeatedly, we have seen teams gouge them, run right down the heart of them, right down the throat, down the gut. And gouge them for big yards, punish them. Eat up clock. Demoralize. Take the soul out of them. We've seen it time and time again. And San Francisco is probably the best at it. Maybe they're the architect of it. They work the Rams over every which way. And that's what we've seen. They've done it every which way. Sometimes they just line up and blow them right out. Other times they fall behind and find a way to get them. Just like a bad horror movie. That villain is still alive. I've got to try to reach Mr. McWonder. I've got to get through to him because, I'm just a friendly neighborhood guy on the couch, but I've been watching football longer than he's been alive, so I see things, and I thought, he's probably so close to it that, look, hey, the guy's 35 or so? And wow, and now this is his 5th year with the team as head coach. So to have so much success, so much acclaim, dizzying heights, extraordinary accomplishments, to have so much power, to be the toast of maybe the most glamorous town in all the world. Money and influence and power and supermodel girlfriends and, well, for a 30-something, it's got to be pretty dizzying, pretty heady. And so you can forgive if maybe sometimes there's that hubris that sets in where you think you can do anything. And with the right program, with the right plan, I think you can manage Matthew Stafford and win with him. But you must restrain him by running the ball. Even if the run game is not netting you much, as in the last game against them damn Niners. Even if you're only averaging 2-3 yards a carry, it's important to stay with it. And that is what your papa, Shanahan, understands. Your father, Dada, he understands this. And you just don't. And furthermore, I think he knows you don't. That's why I doubt if he was ever worried during that game. Because somewhere deep down inside, he knows you. So he puts you in his pocket. Come along, Boy Wonder. Here you are. So I decided I've got to try to reach the Boy Genius. I've got to, I thought, hey, maybe I'll write a letter. Dear Mr. McWonder, your quarterback is haunted. If you place the fate of the game in his hands, he'll get you. You must employ balance. Balance, Mr. McWonder. Balance is the key to victory. Because ultimately, that is all that you have to keep your eye on. The wins. Because all of it, without a championship, will be empty and hollow. Listen to me now. I'm warning you, sir. It won't mean anything if you don't pull down rings. Gotta get one. You need multiple. I'm just trying to help. I gave you a formula in my last video. I called for a minimum of 30 carries. You came up short, sir. I called for a maximum of 25 passes to restrain him. You failed. You failed there as well, sir. And I'm going to say, as a result of not heeding my simple advice, you lost the game, man. You took the L, money. And you weren't that far away. Well, you were a handful of carries short, but you were way over in passes. And that's going to be your demise if you don't take heed and listen to the warnings. When you throw liberally, when you gorge yourself on pass plays, you invite in the poltergeist. And you know what they say. I'd like to share a little story with you. And then we're going to get to the game, because I don't want to belabor the game, but there's certain specific points in the game that really underscore what I've been saying for the last 13 weeks. Crying out in the wilderness. But I want to share a little story with you. 10 years ago, in 2011, the 2011-2012 season, a young Matty from Detroit had a remarkable season, 16-game season now. And Matty from the D threw for over 5,000 yards. 5K. Glittering. Spectacular season. He had 41 touchdowns. He did have 16 interceptions. It's interesting, as an aside, this year, a decade later, 2021-22 season, Matty from Detroit, now with the Rams, threw for just under 4,900 yards in 17 games. He threw for exactly 41 touchdowns. And in an extra game, 17 games, he had 17 interceptions, just one more. But those 17 interceptions were tied for the lead in NFL interceptions this year, along with the rookie quarterback. 10 years later, almost identical numbers. Well, that year, the Detroit Lions were 10-6 and made the playoffs, led by Matt from Detroit. They played the New Orleans Saints that year, and that was Matt's first postseason appearance ever. Matt from Detroit had a big game. Why, he threw for nearly 400 yards. He had 3 touchdowns, but he had 2 devastating interceptions, which cost his team ultimately the game. And Matty from Detroit was eliminated. And the Poltergeist was born. One and done. One and done. Undone by his own mistakes. Sound familiar? Matt from Detroit, over the next decade, went on to have 2 more playoff appearances. Both, same result. One and done. One and done. Undone by his own mistakes. One and done. One and done. And so after 12 years in the outback of Detroit, Matt from the D makes his way to the Golden State, to L.A., big city of dreams. But life in L.A. ain't always what it seems. And The moral of this story, Mr. McWonder, is that if you do not take care, if you do not take heed, he will do it again. The poltergeist will appear. And you, sir, will be one and done. One and done. Man is haunted by a pigskin poltergeist. You understand? He is a modern day Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. The ball from him. Split personality football disorder. Undone by his own mistakes. And just like the quarterback, the team played a tale of two halves. Split. One excellent and the other foul. Most foul. But perhaps the most terrifying aspect to this situation with Matty from the D was made clear, evident, and plain to me after the game on Sunday. And stick around to the end of the video because I'll share with you what I think may be most terrifying of all about the poltergeist from Detroit. But let's get to the game. The Rams had everything to gain. Get that ugly monkey off their back. For McWonder climb his way out of Kyle Shanahan's pocket. For Matty from the D exorcise that demonic poltergeist out of the palace in Inglewood. Burn sage and be rid of it. Break the string of 5 consecutive ugly losses to the Niners, claim the NFC West Division, and ride off into the playoffs on a high note, ready to mean business and make a run to the Super Bowl and ensure themselves of the number 2 seed and perhaps home field advantage all the way through the Super Bowl at SoFi SoFly. It was all there for him. But conversely, lose again to this team, not only do you not eliminate them, but you very likely put yourself in a position where you're going to have to get through them again in the playoffs in order to get to where you really want to get to. And you've shown over years now an inability to do that. So it's all there to be had. And it looks like, from the beginning, the Rams are up to the challenge. Well, not from the very beginning. I mean, on second down of the Rams' first possession, Matt from Detroit forgot to snap count. So penalty, false start on the haunted quarterback, 2nd and 13. Focus, dude. Focus. But beyond that, why, he's playing pretty well. Now, not only is he playing pretty well, but he seems to still be on that flow, that rhythm from the second half at Baltimore the game before. Remember, he was 14 for 14 in the second half at Baltimore and was hailed as the hero, even though I equate him to the arsonist who returned to the scene of the fire with water to then be hailed as a hero. But I digress. He's put together two great quarters, the third and fourth in Baltimore, and now he's into the first quarter in against San Francisco, and he's still sharp. In fact, he hasn't thrown an incompletion. Now, here's the thing. OBJ is making sticky finger catches, and the first throw from Matt from Detroit to OBJ, I winced because it was a third and long. He was in that infernal shotgun, and I have to digress here. When I see Mr. McGenius, you go into the empty backfield, shotgun with Matt from Detroit. It is an ominous feeling every time I see it because you invite the poltergeist in, and you know what they say. If you invite him in, he will come. And you invited him in right away. The first possession of the first quarter of a very meaningful game. And the pass he threw, to me, it looked as though it was just as likely it was picked as it would be complete. But no, OBJ, sticky finger, pulls it down. First down. The drive continues. And I have to say, Mr. McWonder is employing balance. In fact, first 8 plays, 4 runs, 4 passes. And I'm thinking, he is listening. Mr. McWonder is subscribing somehow to my channel. He is getting the message he's hearing, and he's employing the information, and he's applying it, and it's working. And what do I see but the LA Rams are driving the ball on the hated San Francisco 49ers, and they're eating up clock, and they're using balance, and they're not making mistakes. But I do see that infernal empty backfield poltergeist in the shotgun employed by McGenius repeatedly on this first drive, and it's ominous. It bodes to me of trouble to come if he's going to rely on this. And he must have some numerical percentage success with it, but it's high risk, high reward, because they know it's a Matty from the D production. There is no hint or illusion of run. And trouble soon ensues. But Matty from the D completes a big one to Cooper Crazy Legs Cup. Big run after catch yards. Yak. And they get down inside the red zone. There's a nice tight end screen to Higbee. You know, they're playing with nice poise and balance. 5 stalls out at the 15-yard line in the red zone. On a 3rd and 6, Stafford is sacked. Now, this doesn't go down as a pass attempt, but it was a sack. And so, now, this is going to be a recurring theme, the sack in today's game. Ended up, Matthew Stafford was sacked 5 times. Now, you add those 5 dropbacks onto the number of attempts he officially had, and you see McWonder threw the ball nearly 40 total times. And I specifically instructed it needed to be kept to 25 max. So he was well over the threshold for victory. But that drive ate up over 8 minutes of clock. And I'm like, you're doing to Shanahan what he does to you. That's what's called for. That's what I've been calling for. And all you've got to do now is stay with it. Don't get impatient. Don't start prancing and dancing. Just stay with it. Grind it out. Because now you're playing from the lead for a change. Just don't blow it. And Stafford, well, what can you say? Now he's going into the second quarter, the fourth consecutive quarter for him of playing stellar quarterback ball. In fact, the only incompletion in the first half for Matthew Stafford was a throwaway pass that he rightly threw away when there was nothing there. He was running toward the sideline, there was nothing there, and he threw it away. And that was the right move. The wrong move was to try to force it there. And I was like, yes, Matthew Stafford, that's the intelligent play. It's not there. Get rid of it. Live to fight another day. Other than that, the man followed up from the Baltimore second half, 14 for 14. He followed that up in the San Francisco first half. He had a 148 rating, 15 of 16, other than that throwaway, with 2 touchdowns in the first half. Brilliant quarterback play. Now just don't blow it. Second quarter, they get to the San Francisco 11-yard line. They hand off to Cam Akers, 2-yard carry, not much, second down. Now, as an aside, Cam Akers had 5 carries. He only, I think, maybe had 3 yards. It was tough sledding for him. It wasn't much better for Sony Michel. Sony Michel had 21 carries for 43 yards. Just a tick over 2 yards per carry as an average. So the run game was bottled up. But the Niners are tough in the middle. And the whole idea is to stay patient, even when you're not getting a lot in the run game. Because there's another advantage, Mr. McWonder. You shorten the game. The clock keeps running. You eat up clock. You keep their offense on the sideline. You burrow. You gouge their defense in the middle. Take the heart out of them. Snatch the soul out of them. That's how you win tough, hard-nosed football games. The flash and the glitz and the glare, that gets mucked up when guys get physical and it's cold and it's about imposing will. So your game plan has to reflect a winning mentality. I gave you the formula. It's 3rd and long. Okay. Complete the Cooper Kupp, but he doesn't quite make the sticks, and so now that brings up 4th and 1. The call is an important one, and McVay makes the right one. Rightly, he goes for it. After a timeout, they come back, they sell the Niners on a hard run, fake it, Stafford over the top, Higbee, wide open, touchdown, 10-0 Rams. And now there's a sigh of relief in the building, in my building, in the Haunted Palace, I'm sure as well. And the Rams have a 2-score lead now, but more, they have control of the game. They have a strong grip on the neck of the Niners. McGenius is climbing out of Shanahan's pocket. This is what I've been calling for. This is how you turn the tables on your nemesis. This is how you play big boy football, and this is how you win. Follow the formula. Follow the recipe, McGenius. And this allows the defense now, rested, pumped up, playing with a 2-score lead, they can pin their ears back and get after the quarterback. And true enough, Jimmy G. Now, what do my eyes see? I'm amazed to behold Jimmy G is now empty backfield in the shotgun. You have flipped the tables on Shanahan. You got him doing a McVay. And Jimmy G, from the shotgun, empty backfield. Now we know he's throwing. A'Shawn Robinson gets to him. Strip sack. Touches him up. And San Francisco recovers. But this is exactly what I'm talking about. The pressure is squarely on San Francisco. Just keep it up. Don't change anything. And then here comes AD 99, and he touches Jimmy G up with the sack, and now it's 3rd and 27. And then AD 99 with the tackle for loss on the following play, and that's 4th down, and you got the punt. And everything's going the Rams' way. And on the punt, Mr. Brandon Powell breaks one off. 31 more big yards on the punt return. Thank you for listening, Mr. McWonder. Because that's another thing I've been saying. Stop sending Cooper Kupp back there. Leave Mr. Powell back there. Let him do his thing. And he did. And now it's 1st down Rams at the San Francisco 9-yard line. And Cam Akers is stuffed again. Short run. But I'm thinking, don't worry about that. Boy, Wonder, just keep doing it. Run right into the middle of them. Gouge them. Punish them. Hit them again. And then on 3rd and 6, Stafford over the top. Higbee, great throw, even better catch. Touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. And it's 17-0 L.A. And Higbee's dancing and McWonder's prancing, and he's running around. And when I see him start running and high-fiving and, doing all that jumping, I start thinking, man, we just wait till late in the 4th quarter for that. It's not halftime yet. But, hey, it's 17-0. Right on cue. From midfield, Jimmy G throws one up. Picked. And it's Taylor the Rapper with the pick. And there's Jalen Sox Ramsey smacking Taylor the Rapper again. Only this time, he's smacking him because he's happy because they got the turnover. And the Rams get the ball back. And it's like this is working perfectly. Everything is working perfectly. Almost too perfectly. And like in the horror movies, there's always like the happiest moment is right before the creature appears. 3:43 left to play in the first half, up 17-0, and everything's looking lovely. And then after 2 nice runs, they got them to a 3rd and short, 3rd and less than 1. Then the one bird brain behavior in the entire first half, the one bird brain maneuver, the one bird brain call is made by Sean McWonder. And it makes me McWonder, why would he do it? And as it turned out, this play, in my estimation, was the turning point of the game. This play changed everything. It was a lapse in judgment by the head coach, the boy wonder, and that lapse led to a change in momentum that ended up consuming them. On 3rd and 1, 3rd and less than 1, McGenius goes empty backfield shotgun. On 3rd and less than 1, up 17-0, with time ticking away in the first half. And you just had 2 nice runs just under 5 yards each, 3rd and less than 1. You're gouging them on the ground. You go empty backfield shotgun. And you know what they say when you invite the poltergeist in, he will come. On 3rd and less than 1 yard, Matt Stafford is sacked. And as a result, the Rams now kick the ball away instead of running out the clock and going into halftime with the 49ers scoreless. And just as momentum would have it, Jimmy G and the Niners take this gift from McWonder, march down the field, and put 3 points up and go into halftime trailing 17-3, but now only down 2 scores and getting the ball first after halftime. Dun, dun, dun. I firmly believe Shanahan never panicked. I bet at halftime he went in smug because he knew the nature of McVay. He knew. Even down 17-0, he watched McGenius gift him 3 points. He watched McGenius gift him 3 points like a life raft when he didn't have to do it. So he knew going in at halftime, just stay with the plan, fellas. We got him just where we want him. San Francisco had 10 yards rushing at the half. By the end of the game, they had 135. So they rushed for 125 yards in the second half, down 17-0. 17-3. I remember jotting down, just as a little note, how impressed I was with Shanahan, how he doesn't stray from the run. He doesn't panic. Now, down 17-0, you saw that role reversal with Jimmy G, empty backfield shotgun and the interceptions and the strip sacks, and you saw it all. And he went right back to the run. He recognized, whoa, I'm playing like a bird brain, like McGenius. No. And he stayed with the run. Very impressive. And had McGenius stayed with the run, despite the fact that it wasn't netting much on the ground, had he stayed with the run, he would have eaten up the clock. And he would have, in my estimation, he would have snuck by with a win. But you can't let the defense off the hook. The defense stunk now. Shanahan understands the principle of shortening the game. McGenius doesn't understand that. McGenius plays right into Shanahan's game plan. He's like a perfect rube for him. It's like, Shanahan's like the city slicker who sees the country bumpkin coming. That's Shanahan and McVay. McVay falls right into the trap every time. And this time, things did get off kilter for Shanahan. He found himself in a position he wasn't used to. But he righted himself. He didn't panic. That's the key. McGenius panics. And I knew once San Francisco started closing the score that McGenius would panic. The more the score closed, the more he would panic. So even tied, he's frantic. Tied, he's frantic. Shanahan just ran him down patiently. Walked him down is more like it. There was no better time to force feed the ball on the ground to your running backs, Mr. McWonder, than when you were up 17-0. That bird brain behavioral call to go empty backfield shotgun on 3rd and less than 1 when you're up 17-0 before the half was disastrous, calamitous. It was an epic error in judgment, and you paid for it. So you should blame yourself. Now, the D failed you, no question. But you failed yourself. Self-inflicted wound once again. Because you put it in the hands of a haunted quarterback when the run game would suffice and keep the clock moving, and you go to the half up and the other side scoreless and demoralized. And everyone knows when McVay is up at halftime, he always wins. He's 45-0. But you know what? If there's one guy who's going to break that 45-0 record, why, wouldn't it be Papa Shanahan? Wouldn't McVay's Dada be the one who breaks that record if anyone did? So, as San Francisco methodically runs the ball, drives the ball, you can feel the momentum swing and the score tighten. And so does the panic in McVay's play calling. And so, for example, there was a sequence in the fourth quarter with the game tied where McVay did not run the ball once. Not once, the whole possession. It's 1st and 10 from the LA 18. And Stafford throws incomplete and then incomplete again on 2nd down. And the game is tied now. There's no reason not to run. So now it's 3rd and 10 from the LA 42. And Matt from Detroit is sacked yet again. And see, this has turned ugly now. And so now you got to kick the ball away again. And note there's barely any time has run off the clock, the game clock, because there's been all these incompletions. And now the defense comes right back out. And this is where you're losing the game against Shanahan. And this is where he's wrestled control back away from you. The control you took in the first half, he's taking it away from you because he knows your tendencies. Ahead with a small lead or even tied, you can't control yourself and play with discipline. You want to chuck it with a poltergeist lurking in the building. No, I cry out, McGenius, you're abandoning the run, and you know what they say. When you abandon the run, you invite him in. And when you invite him in, he will come. So San Francisco takes over. They have the ball at their own 23-yard line, but they drive. And they look good driving. They're marching. And I'm thinking, man, the Rams, they're about to, the game's tied, but they're about to go down. And I think the defense needs to show up here. They need to stop, but they keep driving. So it's like there's no stopping now. They're at the end zone, so they need a turnover. And what happens? But Jalen Sox Ramsey with this tipping, flipping, circus, diving interception. It was just perfectly ordered by the doctor, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, the ball from him. And that interception on Garoppolo gave the Rams life. They take over again from their 8-yard line because instead of staying in the end zone, he runs it out and gets tackled at the 8. But that's fine because the catch was tremendous. Saved what was going to be a San Francisco score. And so now the game is tied. The Rams have the ball at their own 8-yard line, and now they march. They drive. And I could call it the drive, because they go 92 yards and cap it off. Twisting, acrobatic touchdown catch in the back of the end zone from Matthew Stafford. And it's 24-17 Rams. And now all you need is for the defense to hold. Cisco has to punt. Now LA takes over. They have the ball, 1st down. There's 1 minute and 50 seconds left in the game. They're at their own 40-yard line. Now, Sony Michel runs for a couple. Great. San Francisco takes the timeout. 2nd down. Sony runs again. San Francisco burns their 2nd timeout. And here is the interesting call. And I empathize with McWonder here, because he's damned if he does and he's damned if he doesn't here on this third down call. Now, he takes some heat, and I understand the question mark, but I think his blown call was in the first half, really. But here, he takes some heat because instead of going for the first down, because if you get the first down here, they only have one timeout left, the game's over. But instead of going for the first down, he runs the ball again, forces them to burn their last timeout, but now they have to punt. And he's banking that the Rams defense can hold the Niners back on this last drive to save the victory. Well, last year maybe the defense could have. This year, it's a toss-up. The defense is a question mark. So San Francisco gets the ball back. They march down the field. And you've seen the highlights over and over. The play to Debo. Then the touchdown wide open. And it's a tie ball game. And we end up going to overtime. One team would score, and it wasn't the Rams. And so Shanahan continues his mastery over the boy wonder. And the Rams end up backing into the division crown, since the faltering Cardinals lost to the Seahawks. And so the Rams still win the division, but they back in. The bright side is the Rams still finish the season at 12-5, and they win the division. And as now the fourth seed, they face the Arizona Cardinals in the wild card playoff game, game 1. And I think Arizona is the best possible seed that the Rams could have drawn of all of the playoff participants. And I think the Rams have their best shot to advance past the first round by defeating Arizona. And I do predict that the Rams will defeat Arizona and move on to the second round. And we don't know, of course, yet who they'll face there. But it will be a stiffer, much tougher challenge, whoever the opponent is there. And unless McVay repents and changes his ways and recognizes what he's dealing with and who he's dealing with, I don't know how he'll get out of that second round. But as far as the first round, the Arizona Cardinals are struggling. That isn't to say that they can't rise up and bite you. So you do have to be careful. Now, thank you for sticking around to the end, because I want to share with you what I found to be maybe the most terrifying of all of this. And it happened in the post-game press conferences. Now, McWonder and Sox Ramsey were both seething in the press conferences, the post-game pressers. McWonder, it was obvious, because he's, when he wins, or when, in most cases, he's upbeat and, he's smiling, he gives more explanatory answers. But in this presser, he was curt and short, and you could tell it bothered him, because he knows he's been sunned by Shanahan once again. And Sox Ramsey, you could see it bothered him. He doesn't like to lose. He's a fierce competitor. But Matthew Stafford, in his press conference, he was very cavalier, almost glib. He had a little smirk on his face. He didn't seem troubled by what had just happened. He had a things happen, laissez-faire attitude. And this maybe is what troubles me more than anything else, is that this split personality haunted quarterback doesn't really seem that bothered by it. He doesn't care. He probably figures, hey, I've got a great life. I make a lot of money. Ball bounces this way or that way, doesn't change anything one way or the other. He's so comfortable with losing, so accustomed to it. It's like an old friend that hangs out with him. And so it doesn't bother him. I want my quarterback to be disturbed by losing, to be seething like Sox Ramsey, to be troubled, to have sleepless nights. I don't believe Matty from the D has any sleepless nights. Matthew, losses happen, Stafford. The terrifying reality for Rams fans, however, is that I'm afraid Matt from Detroit has made a comfortable peace with losing games, which means he's not the guy for the Rams long term. When asked about his game-ending interception in overtime, Matty from the D said, "I just left it short," with a shrug. Think about it now. When asked about his game-ending interception, Matty from the D said, with a shrug, "I just left it short." Think about that. I just left it short. He leaves a lot of them short. Deshaun Jackson got the hell out of town. He's like, "I don't want to stay here with this haunted guy. He keeps underthrowing everything. Let me out of here." He's with the Raiders now. He was. They're going to the playoffs. He might end up getting further than the Rams do. I just left it short. Congratulations to Cooper Crazy Legs Cup on becoming only the fourth player since the merger to win the Triple Crown in receiving for yards, receptions, and touchdowns. And so the final question then really becomes, as we approach playoff time, does the team really believe in Matty from the D? Will McVay recognize the shortcomings before him, the challenges that a haunted quarterback presents, and make the adjustments, the necessary adaptations to survive? Or will he be eliminated and extinct from the playoffs like the dodo bird? Will the palace in Inglewood continue to be haunted by the malevolent pigskin Poltergeist? These and many other questions will soon be answered as the playoffs get underway. But until then, throw me one of these. And please subscribe if you haven't already. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. And until next time, my folks, until we chat again, which will be after the Rams defeat the Gridbirds, Scotty says one love.